Good morning. Declaration Grooming B5. Hammer and chisel handle. Liniment from Try That soap and Declaration Grooming. Wolfman WR1 50 something gap handle, and Bufflehead. This one is Petit Fleur. It was the more about that in a second. If you know too much about this kind of shaving, then you might have figured out something about today. Today for Lather Games is discontinued items, hard to find items. Unobtainium is another word we use for that. And so that's as best as I can get with all these items. The blade is a Personna Eddison stainless. I picked it because it's not available very many places, but it's available at tryablade.com. So, and not really the blades that I'm interested in shaving with that have been discontinued. You know, we've got a great selection of blades available to us, and there's not really, for me, any reason to shave with those. You know, maybe the exception, I've heard about this, like Tungsten 74. I've heard a lot of people like those, and they're not made anymore. But anyway, so that's what today is. As discontinued and as hard to get as my inventory allows me to go. So let us get that brush back in the water. I just like to soak it for a few minutes while I prep. And so this is the Wolfman. That is one notch lower than the standard gap of 61, I believe. And here's how the plates look. And so I'm going to put this blade in it, put a little water on my face, and I'll be back. Here's what the Edison looks like, just in case that's ever relevant for you. This Edison may have only been used one time, probably last year's Lather Games. I only have, I think, just the one blade of that particular model. I believe it's part of the Personna assortment that you can get from them. I like several of the Personna blades, and so that probably is why I ordered the assortment, to get all the weird ones. Used another brother of his, the cue ball, the other day. All right, so we are ready to. This is the soap is Bufflehead, and it's really difficult to get because the maker is in high demand the last couple of years, and his stuff is he just makes it in small quantities because, I mean, he's one guy, he can only make so much, and there's a lot of people who know about and enjoy his product, and it sells out super quickly. And so I got mine on the secondary market. Actually, this one was a gift from a fellow wet shaver, a tremendous gift. And in the wet shaving world, we call it a piff, or pay it forward. He was just, he had used it enough, and he had plenty of other soaps he liked and wanted to pass it on. And I'm going to enjoy it myself. And this one is especially hard to find because I'm just shaking the water from my brush here, because he said it was the guy who gave it to me said it was the last of the $14 tubs from way back when. And because of demand, dang it, I can't remember his name. He had to raise his prices a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, they're in such demand, he could raise them a good bit, but he doesn't. That's really classy. All right, so Petit Fleur. And let's do, just for grins, let's do 40 seconds of lathering, and 20 seconds it's gonna roll around on the clock right now. So we'll go until the minute. So this declaration brush is the B5 batch, and I believe right now he's on the B7 or B8 batch, and so that makes the B5s harder to come by. But for me, this brush is special because the loft is a little higher than usual, than what Scott usually does with his declaration brushes, and the loft is in a nice place for me. This particular brush has really crazy soft tips, but usually the B5s will be lofted a little shorter than this, and so they will have a lot more backbone than I like. But this one, I spotted it on the secondary market, and I was able to see, because these are 2-band knots, I was able to see more of that white part below there's dark in the middle here, and then there just starts to be some white, and I saw more of it on this knot than I have seen on other shorter knots, and so I thought, let's take a risk on this one. Let's try it out. And I love the coloring of the handle. I mean, that's gorgeous. I don't really like the shape too much, and so I'm debating about that, but all right, so take this Petit Fleur, try it out. I've never tried out this soap before, just recently was gifted it. Haven't used my declaration brushes in a while. I like it a lot, but I've been on this, been playing around with some bores, you know, and I have had 2 knots that I was bringing in, and I wanted to work really hard because I had this Elite Razor Manchurian knot, and I had this Sterling Finest knot that I had put in a different handle, and both of those I kind of wanted to put through some uses to see if I would enjoy those knots, because those could potentially have too much backbone as well. All right, so without very much water in the brush, without adding any, we've gotten to kind of this dry paste, relatively dry. So we'll add a teaspoon. "40 seconds, I'm guessing by the looks of it, is going to be a little too much lather, but who knows, maybe not. I started in this artisan market a couple of years ago, and the Bufflehead has only done 1 release as far as I know in that time. It was for Fletcher, and I did actually manage to get some through the secondhand market. I tried to buy some at the time that it went on sale, but I wasn't fast enough on the draw. I had it in my cart and everything, but by the time I checked out, it was gone. That's just the way it goes. It was frustrating for me at the time. A lot of people tend to, James. I think James is the maker of, I think James is the maker of Wolfman. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Well, I mean, he can only make so many, and because people are really gravitating toward his soaps, I mean, he can't help that. And a lot of people actually get angry at him for having a poor business model and things like that. Well, we are just generating some good lather here. This is some thick stuff, so and we've put 2 teaspoons of water in it already. And I don't think the popularity is because of the lather itself. He uses duck fat in his. At the time, he may have been one of the few. Not too many to do it. I don't think it was that reason that people were gravitating toward his stuff. I don't know, just good scents. I think he puts together really nice scent profiles, interesting ones. And sometimes people will buy one and then sell it on eBay, flip it, and sell it for $100 because they're so rare, Sometimes the shaving community frowns on that if they recognize that, they may not want to sell to a person. A lot of times the shaving community will sell within its, like on a Reddit sub or a forum, they'll keep the prices to a reasonable amount because they know they're selling it to, people who are going to use it instead of a bunch of marketing people who are just trying to buy it and then resell it. Great looking lather, that's for sure. Do a little finger test here. Don't want to get it too thin. That might be about right. Yeah, nice and slick. I was frustrated too when I wasn't able to get it and it disappeared. I'd been looking forward to it all day, and I was in a remote location. I had to do it on my mobile phone, and I probably would have lost out anyway, but I was trying, and it didn't work out. And I thought, man, it was such a letdown, but it's just the way it goes, with high demand things. Like, let's see, water on my face. So this is a dense wall of badger. Splaying just a little bit. Let's get a little bit more. Let's add when you add a little bit of water and you can see the volume of lather increase in your brush, then that's usually a good sign that you maybe needed to add a little bit more water to that particular mix. Yeah, this one needed a little bit more. All right, very good. I'm gonna rinse off the handle. This one's not super easy to hold when it gets all slippery. However, this razor is. So the Wolfman razors are in a similar boat. And James is the maker of these. And the quality is just crazy. The fit and finish. It's like jewelry for razors. And he can only make so many. So he's had to raise his prices, and he's pretty much a one-man shop. And so when they do come on his website for sale, they disappear quickly. And that's another case of sometimes people flipping them and selling them for crazy amounts on Craigslist, on eBay. So that's why he is here today. I really enjoy shaving with him with this razor. Rinse. And after I got this particular razor, and there were a lot of people after it, I just happened to look at look on the web at the right time when it had been posted, and so I was the first one, and so it was really fortuitous. And I have really stopped looking as urgently for razors since I got it, because you only need so many, and when you get one you just really enjoy, you don't really need to keep hunting as hard all the time. And the first pass here, lots of glide, nice slickness, so it's a very high performing soap. This Edison blade is working really well in this razor. I will take a second to say again that blades are just really subjective, and so just because it works well for me doesn't mean it will for you. And if somebody goes nuts recommending a blade for you, they probably haven't learned that concept yet. That I dislike the sharks, the shark blade, but other people love it. It's crap for me in just about every razor I have, but other people just use it every day and get great shaves. That's just the way it goes. I could probably walk away right now with this nice close shave I have. Smells nice. Let's see what the smell is like from the tub. Yeah, it's a very light floral. It's got some sweetness to it. It's not a high floral. I'm not going to evaluate it too detailed because it's very unlikely that I would ever find this tub of soap again. But maybe for history's purpose, if somebody stumbles upon this video because they're researching a scent or something like that, then maybe this might be helpful. But it's very light, and because it's a floral, I kind of like that. I don't really want it, but it's really hard to smell during the shave. But because it's so light, a little bit on the fresh side as well, fresh, sweet, floral, I don't mind it. I don't mind it because it's not offending me. It's not getting up in my face and being all, I'm an old woman's purse. All right, so let me rinse. Yeah, nice smooth rinses here. Looks like the 40 seconds was the right way to go after all, because we're about to do the third pass, and I like to have a little bit of lather left over for margin. I'm sure 30 seconds would have worked. Let's see, there's some, definitely enough for a pass, but it seems like 40 seconds was perfect. Oh, I need to get that water out of my goatee. I don't want it to rinse out my beard, my lather. So yeah, this brush just really soft on my face. A lot of people consider the Declaration brushes to be just the top of the line as far as badgers go. And they are, if you're looking for one with backbone. If you're like me and you prefer ones with more softness and cloud-like behavior, then it may not be the end-all, the best badger for you. But it's really dense, really soft tips. And each batch, if you don't know already, each batch of Declaration kind of has its own attributes. I got the B5 and I bought a couple of them because you kind of got to get them at the time. And I bought them on the secondary market. You have to, this was the one that had the least amount of backbone. with the softest tips in the current models. The B6 after it had a little bit more backbone. I think the B7 maybe had a little bit more, while still maintaining the soft tips. That's usually a constant these days. And now I think the B3 and some of those other guys actually had kind of more scratchy tips. And so maybe there are some guys out there who like that. So this Edison blade is working really well. I think I may have checked it out online to see if I could buy, you know, 100 pack to get a good deal. And I don't think it was very cheap. So I stayed away from them. I mean, there's plenty of great blades available. So when I want to buy 100 pack of blades, which is really the way you go if you want to save some money. But don't do it until you know the blade works well for you and your razor. And so the places I like to go to get my 100 packs are either eBay, Amazon, or Maggard Razors. I check those out, look for sales obviously. With eBay, make sure you get somebody with a really good rating. There are a few out there, especially the popular blades like Feather, that just have kind of a legendary status. That I've heard of people getting counterfeits, but if it's a reputable seller with a big feedback rating, then you're probably fine. And so that's usually where I get my razors, my razor blades. Just check those vendors and see who has the cheapest one. All right, well, that was in fact a super slick, creamy shave. And if you notice, that third pass, it wasn't all that thick. You could kind of see through it a little bit. But it had the slickness, it had the buttery, fatty slickness that comes from that duck fat, I guess. And so it was it was luxury to rinse it off and feel it. The razor was just sliding all over the place with nice skin protection. And so it rivals the current top tier soaps, like from Barrister and Mann, Excelsior, and Icarus, from Declaration Grooming, Noble Otters version 2. Barrister and Mann Reserve is really slick for me. I have no problem lathering that. And so it really does rival some of the top tiers. And it was a while back. And so it's kind of ahead of its time. And so it was a really good performance. And maybe there's not too many that met it at the time. And so maybe the performance is actually, does actually serve to bolster his popularity. And it's not just some mob craze where people were trying to get the Bufflehead soaps. Now maybe the other makers have kind of caught up to him a little bit, and I think that's probably true. But still, it's good soap. And this one was very lightly scented, just a pleasant scent instead of anything that offended me, because I do not like florals when they're a dominant scent. All right, they made the Declaration Liniment for a little while, apparently. It was before my time, and then they quit, and I don't know why, but they did. So that's why this guy here is here, because he was discontinued. And a lot of people really like it and wish they could get a hold of some, and I stumbled upon some. It was actually, and I like this scent. I didn't actually know at the time how rare it was. I think I received it as a part of a lot purchase. I wet my face, makes it go on easier. It's basically a thick lotion. Yeah, it's a nice scent. And of course the floral that was on me before was not strong enough to offend or anything like that. And so this comes on it, very nicely. A good pairing, because the first one was so faint. So I used 3 teaspoons of water. for that 40-second load of Bufflehead. And I'm glad I did 40 seconds because, you know, I do have a little bit left, but that's about what I like to have left. So I'm happy with that ratio. So here's this declaration brush. You see how dense that is? Here's a kind of a standard silver tip knot. Now, of course, this is a smaller one, but the density might help you to understand. Now, this one has more flow through. It's easier to rinse out and clean. It's more cloud-like because of that lack of density. And so if that's what you like, then that one is going to be the brush for you or something like it. But if you like density, if you like a little, and it's got more, this one has more backbone. It does splay just enough for me to enjoy it. And so it's one of my favorites because the softness is just nuts. I think I might mix this ratio of this particular soap a little thicker next time. Maybe try 2.5 teaspoons of water if I want to experience more of a creaminess to it. So the Edison blade did really well today. I recall last year it did well too. So it's a good solid blade, it looks like, for me at least. And if it were, it was comfortable, smooth, shaved really close. I got nice results right here on my troublous, the worst area on my face. And that was with a mild razor. And so for me, it's a good match. But you know, like I said, I don't think I'll be bringing a large quantity in anytime soon because of the costs and stuff. We're all done, folks. Hope there was something here for you. It was a good shave, really good shave. Just really enjoy a nice, efficient, mild razor. Holds the blade right up close to the edge so that it doesn't move too much, and that makes for smoothness. And still a good cutting action. I'm enjoying the try this soap aftershave, the Liniment. It's doing really well. It smells good, and I don't know how to describe it. Kind of almost fruity, just a tiny bit fruity, but with some other notes as well. I'm afraid it's too sophisticated for me to try to get to. You can probably find it online and look up the ingredients, the scent notes if you want. Yeah, it's almost like maybe there's a tiny hint of cranberry or something like that in there, with maybe something like a musk or I think there's a woody note in there too. Yeah, maybe a fruit and maybe a wood. I think is maybe even cherry. Who knows? But anyway, that's my best guess. I could be totally wrong, right? But the brush did great. The soap did really well. I am grateful to have received it. It's good stuff. So there we go. Some rare discontinued products for your benefit, hopefully. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Lather Games, another day down. It's a pleasure to do this one. You take care. Have a good night.